I had the thing though. I've got a hot take, and what's great is I might get my first "Are you insane?" from. Actually, he's probably said it to me before as well. Now the difference is you're the whipping boy, so he goes straight to that with you sometimes before he even thinks about the take. I notice. I've even heard him say "Are you insane?" then think about it himself and sort of almost agree with you at the end of the take. But okay.
Then he says why Katie.
I know.
When he plays.
I know exactly. So here's my hot take, and I actually think this is a fucking flamethrower. Are you ready? The hot take is this sentence. By the time the Shanghai major arrives, s1mple will be in Na'Vi. Because here's why. That's a hot take. That's a fucking hot take. One, they've already said they're not changing the roster. Two, they're all saying in interviews, like, every reason under the sun except that they need a roster move. Like, it was like, it's all fans hating on me. And then, like, fucking JL, like, that's my motivation. And, Valve didn't put that, like, 17 pixel fucking thing inside the thing or whatever. So basically, I think essentially, if you look at all the excuses, I think they're actually in denial, this team. So what I actually think will happen, for real, it's just the results in the server will just force them into a position where by the time the major's coming up and there's 1 or 2 events left, because by the way, if you go look up, obviously, if people don't know, the major is right towards the end of the year, it's in like November or whatever, right? Yeah. If you look how many events there are in the calendar, there's still going to be quite a lot of tournaments, like, especially by the way for Na'Vi, obviously a partner team and all the region, like they're going to be playing quite a lot of tournaments. And I think what will happen is this. I think there's no way they make a change. I believe them initially. They'll stick with this lineup, but here's what will happen. They'll just never get the results they think they want. I think they'll have they'll be like, fucking 5th to 6th in Cologne or 7th to 8th, then they'll go to like a pro league and they'll make, like a semi-run, but they'll be 8. And then at the end, I don't think they'll make any more finals, win any more trophies. And what I think will happen is this. I do believe Blade when it's like, this gradual approach. But I think once you get so that you're like in, say, like September or something, and you still haven't done anything, and by then, by the way, think of what it's going to look like this year. Then you'll have had all these tournaments where you made like one little blast final and you were kind of irrelevant and not even any star players people are bragging about. I think what's going to happen is you're going to be in a position where it's like, are we really going to go to the major with this team that's almost proven it can't win a tournament? And I think that's the best time ever if you still have s1mple on the books and he wants to come back to say, hey, you've got like 2 lands to prep. Like, just join now. We'll put you in. We'll start building up and we've still got a couple of lands to build and then he'll be there. It's a hot take. What do you think?
I don't know. The thing is, like, first question for you. Who does he replace?
Well, the beauty of s1mple is he could replace like a bunch of them. Think about it. He could replace Immer as an aggressive rifler. He could replace Wonderful as an AWP if you think Wonderful's not good enough. It's up to you. He could even replace JL as a lurker. I think he could do it all, but he could do a lot of those roles. Depends what you want in the team, right? Depends who he is as a player.
The real question right now is like, s1mple played 1 game of Counter-Strike 2 official game ever since it came out. Do you want to put him on the spot like that? Like, do you get what you want from the player that has been known to be unstable when things are not going his way? Do you want to put your team, who just won the major 3 months ago, without giving them another shot to repeat the success? Do you do that? And what if you do it? What do you get in return? You get s1mple, which has not been proven at all in CS2. Yes, he's the GOAT of CSGO, but he did play only 1 game on that fucking Falcons lineup, which is like 50% his fault and 50% of Falcons. But the thing is, like, do you want to put him right there, or you just put him straight up now and give him a couple of events?
A big gamble.
I mean, the thing is, like, would you do it, Duncan?
I would personally.
You are in a blade position.
Here's
right
my
now.
problem. My problem is it's a bit like how I always frame G2. My issue is I think with people like Blade, Alexi B, maybe I'd even say GL in his role currently. Wonderful's not bad. I think these players are capable of winning a major if you have the right mix. But right now...
They already did it, right?
Yeah, but right now what I think sucks is I think this lineup can't win the major as they play it. Like the way it's why I always keep commenting. The reason why I find it so weird that people take that fluke thing so personally is because, bro, like there's teams in the past that have fluked majors but had like an explosive style or could get lucky. This team doesn't even... It's not even like that. It's such a fucking by-the-book team that the way they win and lose is actually usually very obvious. Like you can see the fucking... It's why everyone gives credit to Lexi being played. So I think it's really hard for this team to fluke results, actually, even though they did it 1 time. I actually think they haven't done a very good job randomly tripping over and beating a Vitality type team. Like, they don't really look like they do that to me. So even though I get Kazad, absolutely, this move, by the way, it's my hot take. It could absolutely fail if you did it. You could look like an absolute dickhead. The difference is, though, if anyone could somehow come back and in a few months get really good, this is the guy. Like, if I'm going to gamble, fuck it, why not gamble on the absolute peak? Because I'll tell you what, if you gamble on the peak here, the peak is that you actually somehow could win the major. That's not even implausible. And by the way, I'll just say this right now.
No.
I don't know what the point. I personally just delete that fucking game from Blast Showdown. Like, I can't take one. It doesn't. It wasn't a sample size. Yeah, exactly.
There's only one official game.
Yeah, of course. I'm with you. Yeah.
The thing is, like, the angle that I would agree with you on is the fact that, like, if I'm gonna gamble on someone, I might as well gamble on him.
Gamble
right?
big.
Because it's just. Value against,
and he's already in my team. It doesn't cost anything, etc. Yeah,
risk against reward. Like that's also like that's another angle that we need to discuss.
Oh, by the way, I'll tell you one thing people don't mention. Here's the angle no one mentions as well, Kensad, because they keep saying what you're doing. Like, yeah, but what about when he played in CS2? Here's what everyone's forgetting. Yeah, with a totally different team. If he joins this team, he's played with most of them. Bro, he was literally in this team like last year, the ESL Pro League. Like, and also people like Bait, he's played with for years now. He's been with and played for years. Like, I actually think also people are acting like he's just starting CS2 again. Yeah, but he'd also be with people he's known. It's not like a totally fresh team. He's not joining Mouse tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, like, with him, like, I would just, if I'm gonna make the gamble, let's say I agree with you, and I want to do this thing, I do it insta.
You just do it now. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Now, and I have to take some else.
I'm just trying to think what. I just don't think Blade would. I'm trying to think when would Blade take the gamble is what I'm thinking, you know.
The best way, the biggest value that you can get out of that gamble is that if you do it tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
then you have a couple of events. Yep. Then you have like more than a couple of events.
Yeah, you have half a season.
To get your ass into the fucking major and maybe win it again. But any timeline down the road will increase the risk of blowing it all up.
No, I'm with you.
So that's say I 50% agree with you. If it's been done today, then yes. If it's not, then no chance.
Come on, then, Maui. Where are you coming on this take?
I mean, I wanted s1mple back on this team before they won the major. I wanted him in for EMA. I feel like for s1mple to rejoin Navi, they need to just be able to realize that they're not ever going to have sustained success with this lineup. That's the big problem. Like, you're not building the next Astralis with this team. And because the team is so tactically focused, when they win, it's like Navi has so many problems. We've talked about it on its shows before. Just like, there's really no true star player. Like, JL is, funnily enough, their most star player, but it's not even Wonderful. Like, Wonderful was supposed to have all these other pop-offs, but he doesn't know when to take over games. Alexi's a good caller. Blade's a great coach, and that seems to be the backbone of their team right now. But there's no one else you can really depend on other than, weirdly enough, JL in bigger playoff moments. And so they need a guy that's just going to raise, for me, like s1mple would be the floor raiser for this team because right as it stands right now, like, EMA can lose to everybody. Like, EMA can be bad versus everybody. Wonderful doesn't know how to take over games, so he can't even always have the impact necessary. So I could see myself replacing either of those guys. Honestly, I could replace either of those guys. The one guy I would not put in s1mple's roles, or like s1mple in his roles, would be Bit. I just feel like I don't want him to be an anchor player. Like, that's just not s1mple's skill set. I want s1mple to move around the map, and the people that move around the map the most are EMA. EMA moves around it a lot on CT side, at least, and Wonderful does it a lot, obviously, because he's an opper. So one of those would be fine for me. I think Wonderful, weirdly enough, has kind of been up and down. Like, he's weirdly kind of streaky, and he just needs to be in the right situation sometimes. Like, definitely not blossoming into the player that I feel like we wanted to see by now. So I could see either of them changing, honestly. I would prefer EMA just per role. Like, he's just not doing well. But, like, I even see the case for Wonderful. But the thing is, I also think with Navi's Ukrainian ties, they want to keep Ukrainian players on the team. They've got Wonderful, they've got Bit.
You could even argue that would be why if they
Ukrainian.
Replaced like Emma, then they'd have 3 Ukrainians. They can even call themselves a Ukrainian team again if they want. They can have the flag and everything. It's even a selling point to some degree.
Yeah. And like, so I'm more like theory crafting the whole move for Navi and what it means versus the timeline. Like, the timeline for me is, do it today. Do it right now. Give yourself the whole player break. I just booted up s1mple's Face It. Like, he played a couple games yesterday. I don't know if he's playing right now with any sort of intent whatsoever, but I do feel like there's like, if I'm Navi and I'm more cutthroat, I'm doing it. Like, that's me. But I also, like, I pull the trigger on these things probably a little bit faster than Navi do. They like Blade, he wants to feel everything out, make sure that, like, have we gotten every last drop out of this stone? Like, can we pull everything we need to from this, or are we just banging our head against the wall? And to me, it feels like they're just hoping for another fluke. AKA they're hoping for the best game planning of all time between Alexei B and Blade.
See more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.